US still waiting for a first set-piece goal under Mauricio Pochettino. Tillman stands over it. Two and a half minutes plus stoppage time remaining in Nashville. Tillman's ball into the middle. It was the head of Johnny Cardoso. Well wide from Cardoso, still looking for his first international goal. This cap, number 20.
Tried to snap a header and he's stepping back, and yeah, I think Tillman just a little frustrated. It looked like, I don't know if it was Zimmerman, but the player behind him had a much better chance at that.
Will be Cardoso's first Gold Cup. You talked about the improved performance at half-time. When it went to 4-0 after 36 minutes, you were just wondering how bad this could get. So the fact that they managed to stop the flow of goals is a small positive to take away.
You got to reach, but again, it just wasn't the score line. Everyone's going to get hung up on the
No, it was the way.
It had nothing. It could have been. I'd take 5-0 because the disparity in quality was real, but there was just absolutely zero competitive spirit. I mean, it was a team that did not earn the right to be on the field with any international team, let alone this Switzerland team. So that was the painful part. It wasn't the score line, and second half, I mean, the competitive spirit's there. This is a contest. It just took way too long for the U.S. to earn the right to be in this game.
And Zambi's ball back into the midfield. Across it comes from Muheim. He's got Ndoye down the left side. Up against Harriel. Freuler. Luna gets the block in. This is Adjiman. Adjiman does well here against Amenda. And a yellow card coming for the substitute, who gave a free kick away about 2 minutes ago as well. Unable to deal with Adjiman.
Just love his desire to battle. It's like he does not shy away from physical confrontations. He's not one of those big men that likes to tuck wide and do all this other stuff. I mean, he just loves to get the best of whoever's marking him on any given ground.
Heading into 3 minutes of time being added on at the end of this game at Geodis Park in Nashville. Zimmerman back towards Turner, who was beaten 4 times in 36 first half minutes. Luna. Tolkin chasing. Drops down here towards Tillman. Is there a late consolation here for the United States? Downs back towards Ream. Tillman trying to turn, Freuler got a foot to it. Now Adjiman on the far side. Downs reaching to try and get there against Amenda. Adjiman couldn't get the challenge in without giving away the free kick. And a yellow card coming for Patrick Adjiman. Gartenmann is back on his feet. Gave a big yelp when the challenge came in.
I think it was a little stomp on the foot, yeah.
This would be the worst shutout loss for the US since 2016 in Costa Rica. Zimmerman underneath it. Cardoso there as well, trying to win the ball back. Here is Walker Zimmerman. Ream. Johnny Cardoso able to turn. He's got Luna ahead on halfway. Luna laying it off. McKenzie to Cardoso. Given away though to Ndoye. Inside the final minute of stoppage time, and now a yellow card coming for Johnny Cardoso, who just caught Ndoye
A little hesitation from Ndoye. Very dynamic player.
Well, first it's the Gold Cup, and then in September, World Cup preparations will continue. We'll have the games for you against South Korea and also Japan. That will be two more big tests for this US men's national team, who will have faced different teams from different parts of the world.
Yeah, those games, I mean, that will be judgment time. That's when panic buttons, or players need to perform better, Shakir, all that stuff goes out the window, and all the chatter, all the noise, everyone looking for sound bites, that all goes away. Those games, that's when you're going to see what Pochettino has.
A night when Mauricio Pochettino's side trailed 4-0 at halftime. He made 5 changes at the midway mark in this game. Comes all the way out towards Ndoye. The 3 minutes of stoppage time have elapsed as Ndoye has it here. Ndoye across goal. It's out for a corner here for Switzerland, with what will have to be, I'm sure, the last act of the game. Seventh corner of the night for the Swiss. And a 3rd straight win for them. Muheim will take it. The outswinger in towards the front post. Agyemang took a swing at it. The whistle goes. It is not the Gold Cup send-off that the United States had hoped for. A night to forget in Nashville for Mauricio Pochettino's side. Beaten by 4-0. 4 goals scored by the Swiss in the first 36 minutes. US Soccer on TNT, presented by Coca-Cola. It finishes United States 0, Switzerland 4 here in Nashville. The US Soccer send-off match ahead of the Gold Cup.
That's a learning process for for a lot of guys who are earning very few caps, very first caps, and again it's a learning experience. We have to be calm. We have to keep our head on right. Analyze what the first half especially, and even things in the second half that we can do better. And if we do that, we'll be all right.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa, thank you so much. Joined now by Walker Zimmerman. And first of all, we understand it's always easy to come over to this desk when things are fun and it's coming off a win. It is not nearly as fun when you're coming off a game like this. So first of all, we just appreciate you coming over and talking to us. And Walker, help us understand what we saw tonight. Obviously, the second half is better, but that first half, what happened?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult coming over in moments like this. That's the game. We gotta learn how to bounce back. First half was not good enough by any of our standards, and that's the disappointing thing. Is we talked a lot about how we can compete, how we can believe in each other, how we can keep pushing, take pride, and we just fell short on all those aspects in the first half. We made some adjustments at halftime, made some changes, and obviously had a lot more possession of the ball, prevented a lot more of their attack. But yeah, it's disappointing, but at the same time, we know that we have a tournament ahead of us where these games are going to be coming quick and fast. Our only option is to build on those and make sure we make a run and come back with a trophy.
Walker, in the build-up to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, the results weren't great against Japan and Saudi Arabia. And then you got in the group stage, you guys were absolutely flying. As we've now come 2.5 years, how would you explain not just the results, but maybe the mentality needed to get this back on track?
I think it's really easy to look at one game, one half, and be like, oh, this is all going to pieces. They can't come back from this. But you look, even build up to 2022, we take down Morocco 3-0, and they make it to the semifinal. Like, things change. Now it's 6 months apart. So it's not the end of the world. We accept that it's not good enough, and we realize that. And so that's where the disappointment comes in. But at the same time, like, we have to flip the script. We got to make sure that we do not come out like that ever again, especially as we enter in the Gold Cup.
In a game like this, and we've all played the game, but can you give us what you can share? A little bit of insight of what was shared at halftime. Was it more about aggression? Was it about the pressing not being collective enough? Is there something that you can share with us that was said at halftime?
Yeah, the biggest change was the formation that we changed in the half. We built out a 3 in the second half, added wing backs. We had some trouble handling some of their diagonals into their wingers in the first half, so we put more bodies in the back line. We were able to widen ourselves up a bit, and that prevented their attack a lot more, and then it gave us a lot more composure with the ball to build out with that 3. And so that was a great adjustment in the half that obviously gave us a lot more success.
Hey, Walker, for you, I mean, obviously from your point of view with what's coming up, what's your challenge for yourself? Like, what's your goal? What are you focused on? Where do you want to get?
Yeah, I'm fighting each and every game to try and put my name in the hat to be on the field each and every game. And tonight was a disappointing result, but I know in this sport, you're not judged on one game, one half. You got to be able to bounce back mentally, physically, emotionally. I mean, we play hundreds of games in our career. Some are going to be amazing. Some aren't going to be so good. How can you respond? Learn from it, but how do you respond the next game? And I'm already excited and amped up to go out there again.
Walker, is there a sense of balance in terms of most athletes will say we got to turn the page, you got to forget about it, but is there something that you have to hold on to in a game like this in terms of learning so you don't have this feeling again?
We definitely have to learn from it. We can't just completely ignore it and act like it didn't happen. That's the last thing that we're going to do. It's the last thing I'm sure the coaching staff is going to do. They're going to, we're going to have a off day tomorrow and come back, and I'm sure we're going to review it for a long period of time and make sure that we are a lot more on the same page going into our first match next week.
You guys will be back out on the pitch soon. I know it has been a journey to get back here and put that press back on, so it's very good to see you. We appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Walker Zimmerman, we have so much more coming from the Auto Trader post-game show. Tim Ream thanking fans here. We'll be back from Nashville after this. Switzerland takes down the United States. 4-0 is the final here from Geodis Park. We're back in on the commentating here. First game, Al Ali against Inter Miami. It is the FIFA Club World Cup beginning Saturday, 7 Eastern, live on TBS, also streaming on DAZN. You are watching the Auto Trader post-game show right now from Nashville. The United States, a disappointing loss to Switzerland. That's coming up. A disappointing loss to Turkey. Probably not as disappointing on Saturday as it was tonight. That is now 4 straight losses for this team. And we heard Tim Ream talking to Melissa, and he said they have to understand where things went wrong. I'll start with you, DeMarcus. If you had to answer that question, where did things go wrong? What are your thoughts?
I mean, not to take Kyle's words, but what he said on the commentary was right. Dunny and I were speaking about it at halftime. There was no tackle being made. They didn't compete. It was man against boys. Forget the quality of the players that are not here. And in my opinion, this was a chance for them to go out and show that they belong on the national team. I get it. It's a new squad. They haven't been playing together for a very long time, but this is the national team. This is the U.S. national team. This is the stage that you want to be on, that you dream as a kid to play at. And it didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And I was very disappointed in that first half. I will say in the second half it's a bit better. I think I agree with Walker. The positional change and putting 5 in the back helped them a bit. But at the same time, this had nothing to do with personnel. It just had all to do with they weren't up for the fight. They didn't want to compete. And I don't know why mentally how that could be when this is your shot. We're talking about we're in a World Cup cycle, and we're going to play in a World Cup in a year from now. And they put on a performance like this in the first half. When these are guys that's on the fringe, you would think that they would come up and step up, even if it's scrappy, even if the touch wasn't great, but you can see the fight, you can see the determination to try to do something and try to make yourself hard to be not left off of this roster.
Bees, I've known you for almost 30 years now, and I've never seen you at a loss of words at halftime in the manner in which you were. We said at the beginning of this match that Mauricio Pochettino yesterday told us that he was giving players an opportunity to prove against Switzerland that they deserve to be outright starters heading into the Gold Cup. And I think what we realized is that there's some really talented players on this roster that have proven at the domestic level for their respective club teams that they can play at a really good level. But once they've taken this next jump in that first 45 minutes, they really struggled. And I think it was not for a lack of desire, but the quality was significantly higher for the visitors. And I think Switzerland recognized that early, and they absolutely took advantage of it. And the U.S. men's national team had no answer until the halftime changes that we saw with the 5 subs to start the second half.
Take me back, Kyle, just in terms of context. No, not this
Not the game.
Okay, thank God.
Let me spare you there. In the last year, what we have seen this team go through, in terms of there was so much excitement we felt starting to build, and then Mauricio comes in, and there's this sort of unveiling of Pochettino and what he can do with this team, and we just really haven't seen this huge progression that I think people had hoped to see. So give me the context in the last year of where this team was a year ago, where they are now, and when this is now 1 year away.
I mean, I think the most disappointing part is the complacency and I'll use the word entitlement. And listen, I know these guys want to play for this team. I know they love it. We all know that. We're not questioning that. But the performances do not match that desire. And that's one of the reasons Greg Berhalter at the end lost his position, right? And so Pochettino, what we expected, we did not expect a big tactical overhaul. We did not expect to all of a sudden be playing wingers flying forward, possessing the ball, scoring all these goals. We expected a level of intensity and commitment. The bar to be raised on what we saw at the end of the Berhalter era and never drop. That's the biggest disappointing thing. And listen, Pochettino should be criticized. This is on everyone, right? Like, Pochettino set out a team that probably wasn't set up for success. He could have played some of the guys from last game that are a little higher quality. McGlynn, some of these guys, Luna. You know, he could have saved these guys from taking a lopsided loss, but it's not his responsibility to save them from showing up and competing. I'm just like, I can't understand it. It broke my heart to watch that first half and think about the guys that aren't here that would do anything to come in and get a chance, like B said, at a World Cup. And I it's not about us, it's not about me, but I remember having a terrible hip surgery and it being a 5-month recovery. 2.5 months later, I was in camp because you never know when you get another shot. I was in agony every single day, and I just said, I never know when this chance will come again. There's a World Cup right around the corner. I will do everything it takes to show up and show out. And it just breaks my heart, honestly. I am sad right now that these guys did not take an opportunity that might not come again. And that there are guys that aren't here that would have stepped up. And I'm going to say one name, Kyle Beckerman. Towards the end of his career, here's a player who's great, youth national team, had a great professional career. Everyone kind of wrote him off. He's not going to be in a World Cup. This guy never let his competitive spirit drop below a certain level and got into a World Cup, a dream of every single player, simply because every single day his work ethic was there. You never had to question it. And so that's the thing, is that you never know who's going to make it onto this World Cup team next year. But we do know some of the guys that are making it really easy to know that you're not going to be. And that I just feel for them that they wasted an opportunity.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I liked a lot what Walker Zimmerman said in his interview with us. But one thing I don't agree with is that he said, you'll never be judged on 4 or 5 minutes. You'll never be judged on one game. Yes, you will. Yeah. Because you should be. Because how many times, if you're coming back from an injury, if this is your only shot to maybe make the Gold Cup roster or make the World Cup roster, you get one chance. Because I guarantee after this performance, we won't see a lot of these players playing that first match on, Sunday again and at the Gold Cup. So yes, you are judged on that 45 minutes. You are judged on that 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what football's about. Sometimes you only get that one chance, unless, I know we don't want to speak about names that aren't here, but if Christian has a bad game, if Weston has a bad game, most likely they're going to get another shot, get another opportunity to make that up. These guys don't. They won't. So yes, those 45 minutes and that 90 minutes does matter. So that was one thing I did not agree with his interview.
Well, I think it's also important to recognize those players that were left off of the roster that we know can make an impact. When you talk about a Ricardo Pepi, a Josh Sargent, Alex Zendejas, thinking about an Aiden Morris or a Gianluca Busio, a Tanner Tessman, even a Cameron Carter-Vickers, an Austin Trusty, all of these players that for one reason or another weren't a part of this roster. I'm not talking about Club World Cup commitments. I'm not talking about injuries. I'm not talking about rest. I'm talking about players that are watching right now that were not picked You got to imagine the start of the season, they're just chomping at the bit to start next year because they're thinking about September against South Korea and Japan. They're thinking about October. They're thinking about November. And they're thinking, okay, now I've got to maximize my opportunities. Bigger picture, we understand where the Gold Cup lies in the competition factor of Copa America and Nations League. We understood this was going to be a chance for younger players to prove, because of domestic success, that they deserved a chance to try to prove that they could be a part of this World Cup roster in the Gold Cup. That's not it.
And I think at some point we got to be honest with the talent pool is not as deep as everyone wants to believe and everyone says. Just because you're abroad, it doesn't matter. We had so many players that went 4 years. I mean, Clint Dempsey, it's like so many players could have been abroad at 16, 17, 18, 19 from our era. It was just a different era where you couldn't get over as easily as you can now. At some point, we got to be honest about the fact that the talent pool is not as deep as we need it to be, as we'd like it to be. And some of these guys just aren't ready to get a cap for the national team, and they have 10.
They have less than a week to get some things figured out before they get to the Gold Cup. That is on Sunday. We are going to be back to wrap things up on this Auto Trader post-game show from Nashville right after this. So many questions still unanswered. Switzerland has been on a run, and they took care of business tonight here in Nashville. We're back after this.